Oh yeah, when he stuck his hand in his butthole and pulled his head out, I knew it was going to be a great game. Hey, what's going on YouTube? Lightsaber Samurai here. I'm back again with another video, continuing on with our video games to play during Halloween. I've got a fantastic one on the Xbox 360. That is Splatterhouse by Namco, and of course, this is a remake of the classic trilogy that came out on 16-bit consoles back in the day, as well as the arcade. And in this, it takes place, you play as our hero Rick and his girlfriend as they visit this haunted house. She gets captured, and basically the story starts with you dying. You're bleeding all over the place, and the mask calls out to you to put him on, and together he will give you the power to save your girlfriend. And that's basically the same premise that we got in the 16-bit generation games, but the storyline actually on this is a lot more fleshed out. There's a lot more elements that they introduce. For instance, they give some backstory into Dr. West himself, and it turns out that he was working for a fraternity of demons called the Corrupted, I believe, and he is himself is immortal. The oncoming eclipse is part of a ritual that they will need to bring about the apocalypse, and that is the mask duty to stop Dr. West for doing that. And of course, he teams up for you for that reason. You team up for the mask to save your girlfriend, and so Rick and the mask, they form this symbiotic relationship. In this, it's the same kind of 3D beat-em-up action game that you see in games like Bayonetta or God of War or Devil May Cry, though not quite as fleshed out in the gameplay department, but it's still fun, and it's actually a little bit more simplified. That being said, you do gain more abilities as the levels goes on. This is a super bloody game, and blood is the currency, and you'll use that blood to buy new abilities, new combos, new special attacks, and things like that. Another aspect I wanted to mention with the combat is, as time goes on, of course, you will get access to a bunch of these cinematic kills, and occasionally you'll see an enemy flash black and red as you dole them out a ton of damage. And when that happens, then you can pull off a slew of serious kind of one-hit KO finishers, kind of similar to games like we see in like the new Doom games and things like that. Some of them are insane, over the top, like the aforementioned, reaching in somebody's butt to pull their head out, crazy stuff like that. But again, it's just those little mindful nods. But again, that kind of mindless hack and slash action is right up my alley. This is definitely a game that's style over substance, but it works in this respect. A lot of classic elements from the series make a return in this game. For instance, a lot of the weapons that Rick used in the 16-bit games are back here. So you got access to the lead pipe or the 2x4, the shotgun, which is a whole lot of fun to use in this game, in addition to a few more weapons. In addition to the weapons making a return, a lot of the areas in the game kind of switch to a side-scrolling perspective, so it kind of gives you that old school 2D style side-scrolling experience that you had in the arcade games. Though there are some issues with that, the controls are a little bit sluggish in that. Of course, you're dealing with polygons now and not 2D sprites, and so when it comes to platforming in 2D, it's a little rough. And the platforming in general, sections where they introduce it, even in the 3D, of course, the platforming is a little rough. This is a game that's kind of rough around the edges in general, though. It's not a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination, and we talked about some of the issues with the controls. There are some audio issues, some clipping and things like that. You got some long load times, so the game doesn't feel super optimized, at least on the Xbox 360 version that I played. This is a game that critics are definitely going to hate, but gamers will actually like. If you're a fan of the Splatterhouse series, if you like your games gory and bloody, this is going to be a fantastic experience for you. In addition to the full game that you get here, also unlockable are the original 3 games, and they're like the uncensored arcade versions. So they got the best versions of the first 3 Splatterhouse games included on this disc, which is why this game is starting to rise in price as people are actually becoming aware of that fact, because to buy them on the Genesis, for instance, they're actually quite expensive. But you can still find this fairly cheap on the Xbox 360. It's going for about the $50 mark. The PlayStation 3 version is going to cost you quite a bit more, so get the Xbox 360 version if you can. Alright guys, I do believe that's all I got for you, but let's talk about it in the comment section below. Questions, comments, concerns, threats. What do you guys think about Splatterhouse? Have you played the newer Splatterhouse games on the 7th generation? If you haven't, again, I definitely think you should pick it up. Even if you are not a fan of those, they come with the 3 original games, so that, I mean, that's a huge value. But anyway, if you like this content, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't done so already. You'll be glad you did. I do believe that's all I got for you. Lightsaber Samurai out. Peace.